Hey guys, welcome to the third video of Elizabeth England poverty and exploration. So we're going to see the different causes of poverty now. So what are the different causes of poverty? Well, we had the monasteries being closed down by King Henry VIII. This means that the poor had nowhere to go. They were originally sheltered by the monasteries, but now they had been destroyed, so now there was nowhere for them to go. They were just wandering and begging. Secondly, due to bad harvest. Thirdly, to the bad flu and diseases. And last but not least, Elizabethan England was already under debt due to Mary's rule, so she had left England in debt. In the 1601 Poor Law, the poor were categorised into two groups, the idle poor and deserving poor. Idle poor were punished by the government, so some of the reactions that the government had was in 1445, the beggars were punished, for example, either by whipping. In 1531, they they had a hole in the ears, like burnt a hole in the ears, as well as the fact that it was punishable by death even if they were spotted the third time. In the 1576 Act, the local council and the local areas were responsible for the poor, so obviously this meant that there was more organisation. However, not all the areas were accepting of the different beggars. They didn't want to accept responsibility, so often the poor just wandered around. So that was why the poor law was not effective. But it did last throughout Elizabeth's reign, and begging did see a decrease, but that was mainly because the beggars were sent to the House of Corrections, and idle poor were made forced to do work. The deserving poor were sent to almshouses where they were given food, water and shelter as pay. Different cities, for example, Ipswich, Norwich and York, had different responses to beggars, including the different categories, as well as different licenses. For example, the master beggar who kept an eye on the other beggars. And like a young training scheme was put in Ipswich to give the skills to the children so they could work their way out of poverty. Now we're going to go on to the exploration. So Sir Francis Drake, he was the first person to circumnavigate the world. He went around it. He was seen as a hero in terms of England's eyes, but a pirateer and in terms of the countries that were raided, for example, Spain. And yeah, the Queen knighted Drake, as well as she gave lots of money and licenses to the pirateers so they could raid the ports. John Hawkins, he brought slaves and brought them to England and sold them himself, as well as the fact that he built up the navy, and he was a respected military leader. Sir Walter Raleigh, he attempted to colonize the north of America, however he failed, but later he set it up. I think he was Virginia, I'm not sure. How was exploration possible? Well, due to technological advancements, for example, the astrolabe, the compasses, the maps that were developed, as well as the more maneuverable, faster boats and ships, and the technology. Benefits of exploration and trade involved, for example, the increased wealth. So pirateers obviously brought the wealth back. It was establishing England as a empire as well, so this has led to increased territory and power, as well as the fact that lots of companies, for example, the East Indian spice companies, as well as Muscovy company, so different companies were developed. East Indian company was very big. It allowed spices to be traded, as well as resources such as silk. So again, this exploration was very beneficial for England. So that's all of poverty and exploration done.